Activision Blizzard is trending on Twitter. You know what that means? It's a new Hearthstone expansion, Fractured in Alterac Valley. The Madman! We'll begin with a cool mechanic that's right in your face when you open up Hearthstone right now. You get to choose if you're on the side of the Alliance or for the Horde. If you choose Alliance, you will get Vanndar Stormpike. 4 mana 4/4, Battlecry. If this costs less than every minion in your deck, reduce their cost by 3. So the goal of this guy is to put it into your big deck. I mean, you obviously don't want to run any cards that cost 4 or under in your big deck. Minions that cost 4 or under. Which does fit some deck archetypes right now, such as Big Warrior. But the problem with like big decks, you usually cheated out the big cards through the other cards, and the problem with that is sometimes you cheat out Vanndar Stormpike, who you don't want to cheat out. And if you play Vanndar Stormpike just to reduce the cost of the minions by 3, that may not actually be that effective. I kind of feel like the niche where Vanndar Stormpike might be good is if you were to put him into a deck with 5 cost or 6 cost cards, because then you could play them on the cheap. But it's pretty inconsistent. It would rely you drawing Vanndar on 4. So maybe you should choose for the Horde, in which case you'll get Drek'Thar. 4 mana 4/4, Battlecry. If this costs more than every minion in your deck, summon 2 of them. Well, it has a similar problem. You want to put this into a deck which has all minions that are 3 or under. And ideally you want to put them into decks where the minions are pretty powerful for their mana cost. So you'd want to put in primarily 2 costs or 3 costs. So currently the deck that looks most reasonable to put this in would be Face Hunter, but if you're putting in Face Hunter, you'd be removing Trampling Rhino. If you remove Rhino from your deck, you're going to want to remove Warsound Wrangler as well, which also costs 4 mana anyways, and naturally that removes Wolpertinger as well. So it might be possible to build a Drek'Thar aggro deck, and if you play Drek'Thar on 4, that is pretty powerful. Token Druid, which runs a lot of small cost cards, would have to remove Greybow, and would also have to remove Teacher's Pet, which both synergize off of the taunt thing, so those would also seem like unlikely picks. Drek'Thar, Vanndar Stormpike, the rewards you get for picking for the Horde or for the Alliance, they both have pretty limited use. So which one should you pick? You should really pick the one that speaks to your heart. So first major mechanic of the set, your mercenaries are here as hero cards. Wildheart Guff is a very exciting first reveal. 5 mana, Battlecry, set your maximum mana to 20, gain a mana crystal, draw a card. And your hero power becomes Nurture, which allows you to either draw a card or gain a mana crystal. Note that the mana crystal you gain for playing Wildheart Guff and for the hero power are both a full mana crystal, which means you get refunded a mana crystal afterwards. I would say don't really pay much attention to your maximum mana to 20 part. It's more of the hero power improvement and the incremental just gain a mana crystal, draw a card part. Possibly we'll see play in Celestial Alignment decks just because 1, it costs less than Celestial Alignment, so you can ramp up to it. 2, if you play it post Celestial Alignment, it'll cost 1 mana, and then you'll gain a mana crystal, so it's basically free, and you draw a card while doing so. And who knows, maybe it is possible that we'll get a control deck that goes so long that perhaps the maximum mana up to 20 will actually see play, and you'll have a control druid deck who will have some sort of crazy, never foreseen combo before. Because once you get to 20 mana, you can pull off any amount of crazy plays. Now, we're not really in a meta where getting to that late of a turn is really practical, but someday? The other mercenary hero revealed is Lightforged Cariel. 7 mana, Battlecry, deal 2 damage to all enemies, equip a 2/5 immovable object. Most of the mana cost is put into the immovable object part, which is a 2/5 weapon. The durability doesn't really matter because this doesn't lose durability. Your hero takes half damage rounded up, which allows you to survive quite a bit longer. And in fact, against a lot of the OTK combos of today, taking half damage rounded up may very well make you survive a lot of those. So this has the potential to be a meta breaker. Maybe a control paladin or a Hillidan Your hero power also changes to a very powerful Blessing of Queens. My queen, give a random minion in your hand +4/+4 for 2 mana. That's a massive value card right there. This could be the keystone in a heal control paladin deck. Second mechanic of Alterac Valley is Honorable Kill. You have to do the exact amount of damage to a minion in order to gain the bonus, which is pretty tricky, especially since minion versus minion combat has been an all-time low in United and Stormwind due to the non-interactive nature of the quest lines and very little minion versus minion combat happening. Gnome Private is a 1 mana 1/3, Honorable Kill, gain +2 attack. A 1 mana 1/3 baseline is already pretty decent, and this one gets you +2 attack if you actually manage to kill something with the 1 damage, which is going to come up every once in a while, especially against small token decks, which do exist in this meta. So, nice card. I anticipate seeing this, and as always, whenever you see 1 mana, you take a look at the Quest Paladin deck, and you're like, oh yeah, that's a 1 mana card. Seems good. The other Honorable Kill card, in neutral, Knight Captain, 5 mana 3/3, Battlecry, deal 3 damage, Honorable Kill, gain +3/+3. This seems a lot less usable because when you do get the Honorable Kill, she's a 5 mana 6/6, deal 3 damage to a minion. However, that would require there being a board situation set up where she's playable on 5 or 4 with the coin, and there's something with exactly 3 health, and there's enough decks out there, I would imagine, that that situation doesn't come up all the time. Whenever you're playing these Honorable Kill decks, I would imagine that you'd want to play them in mid-rangey decks, because having small minions able to chip a little bit of damage into the target that you want to kill would be really useful. Anyways, I just don't really see it for the Knight Captain. And we got a class Honorable Kill card, the Hunter, 2 mana 2/2 Bloodseeker. Honorable Kill, gain +1/+1. This card might actually be better than Fiery War Axe in the right situation. The right situation being you play this on turn 2 and you kill something with 2 health. That's like a 2 mana 3/2, and you've already dealt 2 damage with it. Wow. It really depends on if there's 2 health things that will be played consistently on turn 1 or turn 2. And in all honesty, that might probably will not happen often enough to actually run Bloodseeker. Because when you don't get that Honorable Kill, it's a 2 mana 2/2, and that's not very good. Which really goes to say about how important it would be if the meta were right that you precede the Bloodseeker with a 1 mana play, so that if your opponent has a 3 health minion that they play on turn 2, maybe you trade your Wolpertinger into it, and then you play Bloodseeker, and then you attack it for the remaining damage. We also have Siphon Mana for Mage, 2 mana, deal 2 damage, Honorable Kill, reduce the cost of spells in your hand by 1. It's pretty pricey to deal 2 damage for 2 mana, but reducing the cost of spells in your hand by 1, you have a big hand of spells, that's a lot of cost reduction. Ultimately, right now, there's a Quest Mage out there, and Arcane is not the spell type that they're hurting for. I don't think this card is good enough to make the cut in that deck, especially when you have the second Flame card, which is already dealing 2 damage for 1 mana, and you're dealing it twice. And I don't think it's that important to reduce the cost of spells in your hand. And the final mechanic of the set is objectives. These are cards which basically have an aura effect for 3 turns. Starting with the Paladin Baldar Bridge. 4 mana after you summon a minion, give it +2/+2 last 3 turns. That does include the turn that you're casting it, so 2 turns after the turn you play it, including this turn. Yeah, obviously, when you just look at the card in a pessimist light, it's 4 mana, do nothing. But you could really get quite a lot of value off of this. If you just press your button 3 times, then that's, +6/+6 worth of value. Obviously, though, that would require casting Baldar Bridge on turn 6+, and that's pretty late, especially in the current meta. Extra synergies involve playing Day at the Fair and getting +10/+10 when you play your 5 guys, or in the Quest Paladin, when you press your button and summon 2 guys, Yeah, this card is obviously a very big value card. Wouldn't see play in today's meta, but hard to rate these cards without knowing if there will be further nerfs to questlines. The other objective, Snowfall Graveyard for Rogue, 3 mana, your death rattles trigger twice, last 3 turns. It's a really hard card to evaluate because this is clearly something which will expect more rogue death rattles or neutral death rattles. Right now there aren't that many, I'll just say it. There aren't that many death rattles that are actually good. So this is clearly a value card in Rogue, and it's setting up probably some death rattle cards in Rogue. And I'm gonna leave it at that because it's really not worth looking at while there's the current death rattle Rogue cards. So that's your first look at Fractured in Alterac Valley, which is a cool bookend to the 3-set expansion story that they told over the year of your mercenaries growing up and adventuring from the Barrens into Stormwind and growing up along the way, and finally they became hero cards, and now they're fighting in the epic battleground of Alterac Valley, and you're collecting honor, and you get to choose a side, Alliance or Horde. Which side are you choosing? Alliance or Horde?